Hey guys, it's Carol and thank you for stopping by for my January end of the month Flosstube update. I have a finish. I don't tend to finish things in January. January is the month of starts for me. I don't even mean just like cross stitch. I mean everything in life, like resolutions. It seems to be like January is when I start things, not when I finish things. And I'm so excited because I have a finish to share with you. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start right there. It should not be a surprise. Mirabilia Designs, Autumn Queen. Here's where I was last time. And she's done. Like all the beading, everything. I'm hoping by the way, don't like she's sitting right at the edge of here of being able to be in and out of the frame. So I hope I don't cut her head off at any point. Anyway, so all of this beading up top, not her entire choker, but all of her head I had done back in December. And then last week, after I posted my whip parade, my sister called me out on why is this not done. So thanks to her, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna sit down. I'm gonna get the beading done. And it took less time than I thought. From when she challenged me, it was like one evening's worth of work. And I mean, I cooked dinner and all the rest of the normal household things, so it's not like it was a continuous many hours of beading. It was maybe 2. I love how this came out. I love the beading. I love the big jewels that are on this. I don't even know what this ribbon trim thing is. I like them better here. There's one up in her crown. It doesn't stick out in her crown nearly as much, but I am just, why did I take so long to finish it? I'll tell you why it took so long to finish it. It was because it was a plan. I had a plan that I was going to get this done by the end of June of last year, and that was the delay if I originally wanted to get it done in 2022, and that didn't happen. So when I missed my second deadline, it wasn't really a deadline, it's just a, hey, it would be nice. I think I started feeling just bad about myself, like I was some sort of failure. Also, I was not in fact a failure. This is a hobby, not my job. And I just wasn't feeling the beading until I was. And so it came out spectacularly. I love these draping ones down here at the bottom. I don't know if you can see it. I did a better job of these than I did with my Summer Queen. So I love it. I pretty much stitched this as called for. It's on a 32 count white Belfast linen. I used all the called for DMC. I had 2 substitutions. The DMC metallic is called for in this pattern. Guys, the DMC metallic is gross. Don't use it. If you like yourself, don't use it. I mean, if you don't like yourself, maybe go ahead, but I'm going ahead and telling you it's awful and I hate it. So I exchanged that out for Rainbow Gallery's Petite Treasure Braid in gold, and I love how shiny it came out right through here. I don't think it did as nice of a job as combining with the beads in here, and in hindsight, I feel like all the gold that was up here, I should have done the beading as well, but that's a, hindsight is 2020, and obviously that would change how I'd feel. The other thing, a bunch of these spots in the fur trim on her, I guess it's a robe, whatever it is, they're supposed to be rondelles, Mill Hill rondelles. I don't have them. I never found them in stock. I mean, I'm sure they are, like, because I've said that. I could probably go hop on the internet right now and be like, oh, I could have them here in 2 days. But I didn't feel like it. I just ended up using the same copper color Krynic for all of the spots. And I love how it came out. I think that was pretty much the right answer. So this is the 3rd of my 4 seasonal queens that I finished. It's only 2024. I finished my Spring Queen in July of 2006. So we're at the almost 20 years of getting this whole I had this whole vision that I'm gonna do all 4 of these. And the reason they're not framed yet is because I'm gonna do them all in the same frame, which meant I need to get them all done. Well, okay, finally, I'm at 3 of the 4. So that is good, and I'm hoping that it won't take me, because let's see, I finished Spring Queen in 2006, Summer Queen in 2016 with a little rebeading that I did in like 2018, but I'll call it, I pretty much finished it in 2016. Took another 8 years to get to this. So hopefully it doesn't take me 8 years to finish Winter Queen. I mean, if it does, I've done something wrong. But anyway, it's funny, this was of the 4 seasonal queens, my least favorite originally. And I don't know if it's just because it's the newness of the finish, but right now I'm like, ooh, shiny, I love it, she's perfect. The other thing that helped, beading. I used the beadsmith that I picked up at the needlepoint shop. I have in the past done literally just fishing with the beading needle, the beads out of the little mill-hill plastic containers. Don't do that. I would always spill them everywhere. It was a mess. I hated it, which is why I didn't like beading. Then I tried a tacky bob that I got from my local cross stitch shop. I don't love it. I don't love how it ultimately is reliant on adhesive, and I would actually find it difficult to get the beads out of it. The beadsmith is awesome. I highly recommend it. I just found it's not adhesive. It's like a weird, I guess the best way to describe it, it's like a solid gel, and it's very staticky. So I don't know, like the beads, they stay on it. So I dropped the beadsmith a couple times, like face down on the floor, and all the beads stayed on it. I'd also pick up like dog hair off the floor, which is fine because after I was done with the project, I ran it under cold water, let it air dry, and it looks good as new. I really, really liked it as a surface for holding my beads, and it did make the entire process much easier. Like I said, it was faster, and given that beading is not my favorite part of dealing with Mirabilias, but here's the thing. I don't love doing the beading, but I love the results of the beading, so it's totally worth it. She's amazing. I am so happy she is done. Now, obviously, since Autumn Queen is done, my next, we'll call this a focus piece for me, is Mirabilia's Winter Queen. Here's where she was last time. And here she is today. You will see, I went back to her hair, primarily. I've done, you can probably see a little bit there from down here, the whites. I filled in a little bit more, came down here, I put in some of the whisper. It's not hugely different. Clearly, I went back, started working on these purple, I think they're supposed to be like flower petals, something like that. And then her hair, when I started with the purples here, I wanted to come up and do them here, but realized I don't like counting over linen very far distances. I just don't find it enjoyable, so I don't. But that meant that what I do is I'm like, okay, well, if I want to get over these purples, I need to fill in her hair. So her hair is most of the way complete. The crown is right here. There is more hair visible there. I have not started that, but I don't know. I love how she's really like coming along. It's absolutely beautiful. And as I said, if I can break the 8-year cycle, that'd be really nice. I don't think it'll take me that long to finish her. In fact, this is going to be my next focus on a finished piece, just because I want to get them framed. One of my goals for this year is to take all my finished cross stitches and make them fully finished, be it framed, a hanging thing for the wall. I have Joyful Summer is supposed to be like that, which I finished 2 years ago, and it's still not like fully finished. So I want to really like go ahead and I want to get these things fully finished. Well, since she has 3 friends now who, in order to be fully finished, she needs to be done, she is now my priority piece. But that's okay because I love stitching on her. She's so much fun. About the only thing I don't like is there is a lot of white in this pattern. It's 5 skeins worth according to the information on the back of the pattern. I believe it. I mean, look at how much I've spent more time doing whites and grays right now than I have the blues. And here it swooshes back to the skirt, but like there's a bunch of white. It makes sense. It's supposed to be satin. It's very reflective, but it means that, you know, it's not always the most exciting stitching, but I love the blue colors in this project, and I am just really looking forward to, I don't know, getting her done too. I don't have a plan for how many finishes I'm trying to get done this year, but like I said, it would be really nice if I could get her to that spot. I had stated in my video from the beginning of January that I was planning on narrowing up the number of whips that I'm working on at any given time, and I think I said something along the effect of I'm going to pick out a bunch and that's going to be it for the quarter. So I picked out 8. Then I realized a quarter is probably too long, so I've in fact made them for just this month. But what I did is the first 3 that I picked out were ones that I want to focus on. So like Autumn Queen was naturally on that list. That left 5 spaces, and I wanted to just kind of go with serendipity. Like, I don't know what I'm going to want to stitch at any given moment, and if I pick them out ahead of time, I don't do a good job of finding the thing that I'm going to want to work on 3 weeks from now. So I have a decision wheel app on my phone. I have all my whips loaded in it, and I basically spun it 5 times and decided if they get done, cool. If I work them in this month, they come off the list and they don't go back into the rotation until I've touched all the rest of my whips. But it just kind of helped narrow up. So I pulled out one that I wasn't really expecting, and that is Heartstring Samplery Summertime Coverlet. This is my second oldest whip. Here's where it was last time. And here it is now. The last time I pulled this out in July, I had done a little bit, let's say a little bit. It was finishing most of this, but I hadn't completed it. So it was my only monochromatic piece on my list of 8 whips for this month, and there was a day when I just wanted mindless stitching. I didn't want to be picking out colors. I just wanted to pick a length of floss and go, and maybe pick up another one. Well, I actually ended up picking up like 4 or 5. So not only did I finish this motif, I did this entire one and finished it, finished out this star, there wasn't a ton left there, and just itty bitty tiny start on the next motif. So the really nice part about this is the upper part of this piece is about like 60% of the project. There's some lettering and then there's more fun stuff down here. But I had been kind of bogged down on doing these over and over and over. I know, it's the do the part you don't want to do first. Every time I try that, it seems like a good idea. Like, it should work, but it doesn't for me. So I keep wondering, should I come down here? I'll get there eventually. But it just was really nice to pull this one out and make some good progress on it. Again, this is my second oldest whip. It's been around since 2018. And it's not difficult, nor is the piece itself. I mean, it's a decent size, but this is still only a fat quarter of linen. And it's not, you can see how big the margin is over here. Like, the margins are huge on this because I did a center start. And I would like to get it done. This is not a priority or anything, but this is where it was really helpful having the, hey, this might not be my first choice. If I were normally looking for monochromatic, I have like 2 other pieces. I would go, actually 3 other pieces that I generally pick out first, but none of them were on my list for this month. So it was this one, and then I was really happy just being able to make some really good progress with it. Speaking of those monochromatic pieces that I would probably pick before Summertime Coverlet, Modern Folk Embroidery is the Fruit of Plenty, the 2021 Stitch Along. Yes, this is 2 colors, but close enough for government work. This was not on my list for once I actually picked my January work, but I had done a decent amount since my last Flosstube, so I figured I'd share it. This is what I did like before the whip parade. Here's where it was last time. And this is today. I finally, there's like a little bit right here, but I mostly finished this motif. So the interesting thing that I realized is I really enjoy doing through here where you have the design is the negative space in between. You're stitching the background. This is the same idea, but I don't love it here, and I don't know why. It was just, I found it a less fun level of stitching compared to like here or over here. So this had kind of basically been the reason I've been stuck on this project. That and the whole, I should be able to finish this in 2023, and when I realized I wasn't going to be able to, I just like kind of walked away from the project for a bit. I'm glad I did that, because when I picked it up again, I picked this up like right after New Year's, that I was able to just really sit there and enjoy it again, and it was so much fun. I love this squirrel. You can finally see him and his acorn. And I don't know, it's such a beautiful piece, and it's actually fun because now every parent on the JV wrestling team knows my project, because I take this with me to tournaments and matches, and yeah, that was like, I think that was really cool because that's what it did for me last year. But I am happy with this one. I think this one's probably going to get pushed into the one of the priority stitches for next month, because again, I have 3 spots for that. But it looks good. So I guess this is like anything else. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. It's winter time, so I decided to pull out Dreaming of Tulips. The really funny part, obviously this is a spring piece for me. I think I've mentioned that before. I started it in May of 2020, and when I went into work on it is last spring when everything was blooming. My daffodils are budding. They haven't like fully opened up yet, and I can't even. It's not everywhere in my yard. Apparently I must have a warm spot, because those are the ones that are looking great, which is funny. They're the ones I transplanted too. I thought I was going to lose them all. They came up. I know it has nothing to do with tulips, but it's one of those, like, even though it's still cold and awful winter weather, like spring really isn't that far away. So this was kind of a nice one to pull out. Here's where it was last time. And this is what I have right now. I told you I made a pretty decent amount of progress. It was really cool finishing out this one and moving over here. So I have basically finished this quadrant. There's like a little bit right here. The center is like right about here. So I was just excited like how well this really started coming together when I sat down and was working on it. This is a fun, easy stitch for me. There's only 8 colors, and I have kind of really, doing all the lettering has made me fall in love with backstitching. I had no idea. For like the longest time, backstitching was what I considered a necessary evil, but not something that I looked forward to. But I really, really enjoy working on letters in backstitch. Who knew? Well, now I do. But I love how this one's coming out long, so hopefully I'll see some, I don't know, this one would be fun to finish, but I'm not going to prioritize it. I'm going to say that a lot, probably for the entire year, because one of the things about having like really pulled out all my whips and looked at them again is, seriously, I like fell in love with all my projects all over again. And the problem is I only have so many hours in a day to stitch, and so many projects, and they all want attention. It's fine, but like I said, this one is just, it is a load of fun, and I can't wait to get back to it at some point in the future. Another easy small piece is Long Dog Samplers Mick the Miller. Here's what was last time. And this is where I am now. I finished, and this is where I am now. I finished this dog, including all the flowers, because I don't believe he had it on his tail. I'd forgotten. I kept thinking that this project had only 8 dogs. There are 8 black dogs. And then there's this cute little 9th, tiny white one. So I've decided, because it looks, well, it looks really cute, but it's so much smaller, I've decided that this is an Italian Greyhound to go with all of my whippets. Yes, I am aware that the actual like design intent is these are supposed to be Greyhounds, but it looks like my dog, right down to this like cute little curly. All of the ones they have, they're actually all the same. She's reversed them, so the dog is going to be standing facing this way, and it'll make sense when it's done. But they all have this like curly cute tail. I mean, it's not a full like coil, but my dog, his tail looks like that. So like I said, I've decided that these are all whippets. So this must be a little Italian Greyhound. And if you've ever met an Iggy in real life, I feel like they're the dumber version of my whippets, and my whippets are not geniuses. I think the best description I've ever seen is that whippets are the most trainable of hounds, and no one has ever picked a hound as trainable, which is true. Like my dogs are not young, and it's like every month or so, I think they forget how to sit on command, even though every single day I reinforce it with a treat. And Italian Greyhounds are stupider, so they're cute, they're little, but yeah, that's what I've decided that this one is, just because I think it's the facial expression just kind of makes me think of it that way, and I don't know. That's just me. Anyway, this one was one that I had originally intended for like deadline stitching, and thing I have learned, I think 2023 taught me, I do not stitch on a deadline particularly well. It makes me stressed. It makes me not work on my stitching, and it ties into, honestly, I've been like this like forever, but I am now like that. When this gets done, it'll get done. I mean, it's for my husband, so I'll just basically one day hand him a framed piece and be like, I got it done. I'm sorry that it's late. And he'll be like, what do you mean it's late? And I'll be like, oh, my kids all know that I was supposed to have done this for Christmas. They have all asked me, why didn't you give it to Daddy? And I'm like, look, it's not done. I'm like, yeah, it's how it goes. Anyway, this is a really fun project. I love it. This is a 36 count linen, and I am doing 2/2. I realized that I should like probably, so like 36 count or 18 count. For me, they're like they can go either way on whether you want 2 threads of coverage vice 1. And in this project, because of the black, I decided I definitely wanted the 2 threads of coverage because I do not want any of the fabric showing through in the middle of the dog. But I could also look at this and say, for other projects, this might be too full and you wouldn't want that look. And then 1 thread on 36 count looks great. Summertime Coverlet is 1/2 on 36 count, and it looks fantastic for what it is. So I figured I'd like share, hey, that's how I kind of work. 32 count, I'm always going to do 2/2. 40, I'm always going to do 1/2. But like I said, 36 is that gray. It can go either way, depending on what you're trying. The last piece that I worked on in January, well, at least so far, the month is not over, is Custom Crafts Autumn Chapel. Here's where it was last time. And this is my progress. I had done, you'll see, if you watch the whip parade, you'll see there was a little more than from last time I had shown this, but the last time photo is from my last regular Flosstube. But I realized that one of the things that I want to do with this restart is I really want to get it in line with where I had it before, which is to say the part that I haven't pulled out yet. I wanted to mostly match this, and then I'll probably put it down for a while and go back to focusing on like my other full coverages, but I am really liking how this is coming along. I love that I have chosen to go with cross country instead of parking. It is just so much, first of all, I kind of like being able to see, so there were some greens through here, but then running the length of thread out that I'm wandering down here. This is actually down into the next page down, and I don't know, I like that. It works for me. It is just mentally satisfying. So I'm hoping that I'll remember and don't get a wild bee in my bonnet at some point that I want to do parking again, because every time I try it, I hate it, but a year later I'll forget and be like, oh, maybe it'll be better this time. It's not better. Like, how many times do I have to say it? I don't know. But I guess that's the other nice part. Cross-stitching, ultimately, the only rules are you make X's. I was gonna say you need like fabric and thread, but I guess you could do the, I mean, there's so much that you do on like plastic canvas, and thread implies that it has to be cotton, but if I wanted to do this with like lengths of plastic, I guess I could. So the rule though, there's X's. As long as you do X's, and that I am gonna be the one. I do not particularly think that tent stitch quite meets it. Yes, because it's not X's, but then I'll turn around and be like, but I have half cross stitch in like my dimensions projects, and that's still cross stitch. So maybe there's even less rules than I thought. There's no rules in cross stitch, y'all. No rules. But I think that's the thing. You have to figure out just what works for you. And for me, what I'm really enjoying, I do like that I'm starting in this upper right, and I'm just kind of going where the thread takes me at the moment that I'm sitting and working on it. That's what makes it enjoyable. It's why I enjoy this hobby, and I love watching the pictures develop as I'm doing this. Like, it's awesome. It's so much fun. And like I said, keep working on this, and then hopefully get back to some of my other full coverage. So with that, I don't have any particular plans set for February yet, because I want to make sure that I'm stitching on my January list all the way through the end of the month. That's super important to me. It's very easy for those last couple days, like the 30th or the 31st, to be like, let me go ahead and look ahead to February. Well, February will take care of itself. I will spin all of my projects on February 1st, and if I can figure out how to do it on my phone, I might actually show on my next video just kind of how I have this set up, because maybe you're interested. I hope that you have enjoyed what I've been working on. I know that I'm really happy with the progress I was able to make in this month, and if you like my content, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.